counts if you're at risk or living with lung cancer. And anyone with lungs can get lung cancer. It causes more cancer deaths than breast, colon, and prostate combined. It can feel like a race against time. And while there may be moments where you question your next step, it's essential to know that you don't have to confront lung cancer alone. Through it all, Go-To for Lung Cancer is here for you. From screening, treatment, and survivorship support to finding the right care close to home, we are your community. As your friends, your guides, your teachers, your advocates, and your support system, Go-To is your go-to. Confronting lung cancer starts here. Visit goto.org today.
That day I was at home and I was mowing grass, me and my grandson, and one of his friends messaged me and said, "Mildred, I heard Dwayne is dead."
Can you tell me the name of this person?
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. I won't have your name to call, 'cause I will be the last to fall.
Many moons ago, I was around 5-ish, and I'm 50 now. We were living in an apartment in Prestonsburg. Mom and Dad were gone and my older sister was babysitting. She was around 13. She and the next two older siblings were prank calling people and calling the request line at the radio station. We had 2 phones in the house at the time. Same extension though. One was upstairs, and she was using the living room one. We 3 younger kids were jumping on Mom and Dad's bed, which was also downstairs. The first thing I remember happening is our sister yelling for us. We thought that we were in trouble for jumping on the bed. She didn't get on to us about that though. She did make us sit beside of her in the living room. And the rest, I don't really remember much of it. This is how it's been told to me. She had been playing on the phone all night with nothing unusual happening until suddenly someone picked up the upstairs extension. She tried it again several times, and after a few seconds, someone would pick up the extension. Freaking out, and with good reason, she called Aunt Helen. She explained what was happening, and Helen said it was probably one of us kids and asked where we were, and Sister told her. And then Helen told her to get us in the living room and to make sure that we were all there. So she did. Then the extension was picked up again. Helen said, "Who is this?" And a woman's voice said, very calmly, "This is Sandy." Helen said, "Where are you, Sandy?" And Sandy said, "I'm right here." Helen said, "Well, I'll be right there too." She told Sister to get us kids and go to our Granny Green's apartment, right up the street from us. She told her not to take the time for shoes or anything, just go. Don't even take the time to close the door and hang up the phone. I remember running up the parking lot towards Granny's place, being scared but not knowing why. Helen took just enough time to call and make sure we had gone. The phone rang, even though Sister didn't even hang it up. It still rang. She swears to that to this day. When it was answered, it was Sandy again. As Helen left her house, she told her mom that someone was in our apartment. Call the police and our mom and have them meet us at our place. Well, they all met there. Several police searched the place. The back door was still locked from the inside. The front door open, like Sister had left it. They looked everywhere a person could look. Closets, under the beds, even in the washer and dryer, everywhere, and no one was ever found. Now, they probably assumed that if someone had been there, they left through the open front door. The front door was locked. Helen got us kids from Granny Green's and put us in her car to take us to her house. Mom was in her car, and everyone was ready to leave when Helen looked up, and there was a man in the bathroom, looking into the mirror, combing his hair. Helen pointed to the bathroom window and told Mom to look. Well, the police had already left, and they all knew that no one could have been in that apartment, or they would have been found. Helen and Mom just left. Now, I'm the true crime side of this. She is the paranormal side of this. She probably wouldn't freak out if something like that happened to her. I would probably piss my pants. Now, the thing that really got me about that story, Stace, was when Helen looked up the stairs and everybody has allegedly cleared the apartment. There's nobody left. And there's this guy standing in front of a mirror, combing his hair.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he put on some damn deodorant too. What is he, a Viking? So, but this is just absolutely, it's one of those things. And this really happened.
Yeah, it's one of those stories you can just see it and get chills.
Absolutely. Now, this story, like I said, if you've got one, email us at themountainmysteries@gmail.com. We'd love to do the same treatment because we want these stories out there.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There's so much more in this life that goes on than what we see, and certainly what we understand every day. And that's what, true crime and paranormal, they kind of go hand in hand like that because, true crime is scientific. I think paranormal is too. And you use certain methods and ways of doing things to get to the bottom of one thing, just like you do to the other. I don't know, James. Where else would he comb his hair? I don't know. James Paul. Yeah, there you go. Now we actually have the people who lived this story on the show with us this evening. They are a part of Pandora Paranormal. When I first learned their organization's name, I thought to myself, and I even said as much, well, I damn sure don't want to open that box. And Lori tells me that's exactly why they named it that way. Don't open a box that you can't close or that you don't understand. And that does happen. Stace, how many times have you dealt with cases like this with 606?
Well, about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You can just imagine.
People bringing in a Ouija board or something like that and thinking that it's just innocent fun. And
I found Ouija boards in between walls, painted over and put up in, slats and things, and just all kinds of stuff to deal with things like that.
Well, let's talk to Pandora Paranormal too and see what they say. Ladies and gentlemen, Lori and Helen from Pandora Paranormal. Girls, how y'all doing?
Good. How y'all? Good.
We're doing great. Thanks a lot for being on with us this evening. We appreciate it. And I'm going to give you the bigger side of the screen because I know that Lori and Helen like the limelight. So there you go. And I am just the lowly guy on the totem pole wondering why, if the pizza man loves her so much.
I feel like the Brady Bunch.
Why is he smacking her?
Why is he smacking her bottom? Perhaps she did something wrong. Supernatural reference. I'm sorry, but that's one of my favorite.
You don't talk about it.
Yeah, you don't talk about it with other dudes. I love Sam and Dean. I do. We want to say hi to everybody in the chat room tonight. And thank you all for being here so much. And I'll just rattle off a couple of names really quick. Kayla Tanksley, Rita Miller Phillips, Loch Ness Gavin. How's it going, Gav? James Paul Prim. If anybody knows about true crime, that would be James Paul, police officer, or former, whatever. I don't think that ever gets out of your blood.
He's a 606 paranormal.
Okay. Jessica Preston, Candace Thornsberry, and we will get to more people as we go through. The chat, of course, we always go on a little bit early. And I think tonight was really for a good reason. Debbie Scott Goodman, hope that you're doing well. Oh, there's my baby girl, Stace. And Lloyd was the first one in the chat tonight. Oh, there he is. Okay.
He's over here.
He's making sure everybody stays in line, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Deanna Allen. Karen
close the door.
Oh, close the door. I'm not even going to. We're going to get into someplace that we don't want to go. Karen Lynn, Isaac Thompson, hey, Crystal Shepard, and to everybody in the chat room, Jamie Lowe. I'm just reading off names. Jen Williams, Genevieve. Let's see, Candace Thornsberry, Sharon Barron, Sandra Goforth, and yeah, it just goes on. So, and Stephanie and Maddie Blankenship, always. Thank you guys so much for being here. And a big thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. It just wouldn't. Right now, things are tighter than Lloyd's back pocket. So
that's pretty tight.
I know it. It squeaks when he walks, right? Let's see. Miranda Cole, maybe. Yeah.
That's my daughter.
Oh, is it? Well, you were welcome to say hello to her. We are not governed by the FCC yet. I got a suspicion that's coming one day. So
We're just we're on the edge there.
yeah, the Communications Commission. Yeah, the Federal Communications Commission. So let me ask this question. You guys lived this story.
Marissa making it.
That's Trishy.
Hi, Trishy. That's my baby.
You guys actually lived this story, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This was in the late 70s. We later found out just a few days ago, which Lori would put you at being very young at that time.
About 5.
Okay, about 5 years old. And tell me, had there been any experiences in the place before this? Before that night?
Yes.
What kind of experiences did you have there?
Well, my niece and a bunch of her friends had actually got a Ouija board from somewhere, and they had used it, and I think it woke whatever was there up.
Yeah,
that can happen.
And they used that Ouija board, and we were all sitting on the bed upstairs, and there was a lady's head floating at the foot of the bed.
A lady's head.
A lady's head.
So you saw a visible apparition.
I was the one seeing it. And her body was coming off the hill to meet her head. Now it was a scary place. That place was.
Wow.
Now, earlier, before we went on the air, you guys had told me that there had been some instances of perhaps an Indian burial ground or Indian graves discovered nearby.
Yep.
Well, I actually researched it, and there was back, years and years and years ago, there was like a saloon with like the
brothel,
the
right
ladies of the night.
Yeah.
And I mean,
that was a hot spot for that then.
It was very,
For a lot of-
very,
yeah.
yes.
You could hear babies crying all the time. The closet doors would rattle.
People walking up and down the stairs. I mean, you could actually see the
Yeah,
shadows.
it was just a hot spot. It was bad.
It was extremely hot.
Was this in Floyd County?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. The night in question, the night that this story is based on,
Mhm.
I would assume, Helen, because you're the one that, when Sandra, was that her name, Sandy?
Sandy.
When Sandy said, "I'm right here," your response was, I'm going to be right there too. I'm on the way.
I said, I'll be right there too.
That's what I would say too.
What was your first thought? Would it have been something like, "Oh my God, there's somebody in there and they don't know about it"? Maybe like a breaking and entering kind of thing or something like that?
Yes, that was my thought. That was my thought, that there was maybe a man and maybe even, maybe a woman and a man there that had broken into the apartment.
Because keep in mind,
And my first thought was those kids were in danger.
and keep in mind that the oldest one at that time before you got there was what, about 13?
About 13.
13, yeah.
And that was Lori's older sister, is that right?
My oldest sister.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, a 13-year-old teenage girl against a full-grown man, and what you assumed, I'm sure, was a full-grown woman really doesn't stand a chance.
Sandy sounded to be about like she is maybe 28, 29
And you actually talked to her on the phone.
years old. So,
Yeah.
and it
And when you
scared
got
me.
there, lead me through what you did when you got there.
Okay, we got there. I made sure the kids were okay first off.
Mhm.
And I sat and I waited on the police to get there. And when they got there, they went on in the house. The door was open. The phone was actually still off the hook.
And it rang again.
Yeah, it rang when I called. And Sandy answered the phone. And they checked everywhere in that apartment. Everywhere. And made sure all the windows were locked, all the doors were locked. I mean, there was no place they did not check.
Did you ever see that man again?
No, I never seen the man again.
This was
Well,
a guy
that's a good
upstairs in the
thing.
mirror, right? Combing his hair.
Yep.
He was just standing there in the bathroom mirror. You could see through the bedroom right into the bathroom is what it was. And he was just standing there just as pretty as you please, combing his hair.
Goodness. Well, it's good you didn't have to put up with him anymore after that.
Yeah, a guy like that obviously probably wouldn't wear deodorant either.
Well, you know,
You ain't wrong.
even after that, they would actually have to leave home and go to their neighbors because it would be so bad in that apartment.
Yeah.
No,
You
you mean
could
like
hear it.
you could hear it.
Yeah, you could hear it. Almost sounded like a party going on. You'd hear music. You could hear screaming and hollering and laughing, and
Almost like what you would hear at a bordello.
At a
it sounded like there was a party in our
And it
apartment.
even sounded like sometimes
Gunshot.
some
Do we know if any murders ever took place there? I mean, even before it was an apartment. You know, this may be an issue of where the building itself may not necessarily be haunted, but the land could be.
Yeah, it was definitely the land.
It was the land. Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't
because
the
there
apartment.
were-
It wasn't the building. It was the land.
Yeah,
The
because you
building
could
was
see
on-
things and hear things even on the even like there was a little park beside it. You could see be sitting in the park and you'd see things and hear things.
Stace, with 606 Paranormal, have you dealt with, I mean, if you could compare like the haunted house per se, or the buildings versus the haunted land, what would you say is a mix there? Is it 50-50, or is it, you know, you've dealt with more haunted homes or places than you have land?
About 50-50, really. But my grandparents actually had a home almost just like what they're explaining. It used to be like a bordello. And my grandmother would get down on her hands and knees and scrub in the kitchen floor to remove what was a blood spot. Not fresh, but clean it. And 2 days later, it will be back. And then my papa would hear gunshots all night. And they knew. They were young. You know, they couldn't afford to move and go anywhere. You know, this is
That happens a lot.
back in the 1920s, you know.
Yeah.
So they had to stay there, and they sure
So they had to deal with it.
they had to deal with it every night.
And you know, that happens a lot, especially even today in today's times. People get into a situation where they've invested so much money in a down
Right.
payment or a mortgage or rent with security
Recently
deposits.
just went through it. Yep.
You don't have the ability. You know, I don't know of many people that have 20, 30, even 10 or $5 or $10,000 just laying around.
No.
And sometimes, you know, if you're looking at moving, it can take upwards of $5,000 or better, especially if you're looking at buying a home. So you're stuck with two choices: sleep in the car or deal with whatever's going on there and try to get help. And at that time, Stace, in the 20s, Lori, Helen, in the 20s, there probably wasn't much in the line of paranormal investigations going on because people really didn't understand as much as what little we do now.
No. And you didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. So
That is very true. That is very true. That was one of those hush hush taboo things nobody talked about.
Yep.
Nobody talked about. So, girls, Lori and Helen, is this what prompted you, or is this a part of what prompted you to found Pandora Paranormal?
Yes.
Started?
Yes.
Can you tell me what else led you to?
Well, we've had experiences like that, like all my life, and I'm assuming with Helen too.
Pretty much all my life.
So it was almost like we were born into it, and it was just a natural thing for us.
So, Lori, how young were you when you was that your first experience? The story that we
No. Like I said, I was constantly grounded because I didn't do it. Okay, let's explain that. I didn't do it. I was innocent.
I know people in prison that say the same thing. I didn't do it. Lawyer screwed me.
I was framed. But we would always, our punishment was always, we had to go to our bedroom.
Wait a minute. Coming soon from Touchstone Pictures, Lori Terry in The Shawshank Redemption 2.
I was framed, and I don't even have red to help you out. But no, we would always hear things in the closet. Our closet doors would rattle.
And your parents thought that was you. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I would get in trouble for not being.
And your parents thought that you were just being a little heathen.
Imagine that. I don't know where they would get that. But yeah, for sure.
I ain't got no idea.
Me either.
Halo, Halo, there it is. Halo.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
I got
or something would be out of place, and Mama thought that we picked it up and that we weren't supposed to have it, and we picked it up, so we would be in trouble. And then she would find it somewhere else, and we knew we didn't do it. Just little things like that all the time.
Stace, if you will, let's talk briefly about the influence of media on paranormal. And back in 1977, I think it was, maybe 78, somewhere in there, this film came out that really, actually, it was before that. If you look back to 70, I think it was 70, 71, this film came out. William Peter Blatty had written a novel called The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
And that really set people, I mean, there was people leaving the theater upchucking, passing out in the aisles, scared out of their ever-loving mind. And, here's the kick. What a lot of people don't get about that was Hollywood. The real thing is a lot worse.
Yes.
Okay. And I think when The Exorcist first came out, I remember my mom, rest her soul, talking about it. And she was like, there's no way we're going to see that. It's rated X. Yeah. I mean, the motion picture, the MPAA had put a tag on this thing of rated X, that it was that detrimental.
Yeah.
Children were not allowed within 500 feet of that thing. And then Amityville. Well, Stace, do you think that the media has portrayed it to become
way overdone everything?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
And as of today, they've destroyed the paranormal, the media, the movies, all these people that are overdoing it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, do you think that the media has played a role in people being more accepted to the fact that this is a topic of conversation that can be brought up in a public place?
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing. But now I do agree with you, because a lot of the TV shows you see, it's bullcrap.
It's all bullshit. And it's especially, I mean, a lot of these newer things are coming to light about some of these haunted places, and they're just blew out of proportion, and they're actually.
Well, I heard them knocking on the wall. Yeah, dumbass, your water pop's loose.
Yes.
That may do it. And
I think it also went from not being talked about to, if you talk about it, you're a joke. So, so there was a time there when, exactly, and nobody would believe you because that just happens in the movies.
Well, that's right. And, if you look 20 years past the fact of Amityville, the people that are living at 112 Ocean Avenue now, which does have a slightly different look, have said that they have never experienced so much as jack squat in that house. As a matter of fact, the last several families have said that. You had the DeFeo murders. Now, that's my thing. Back in, Ron DeFeo goes in, takes a gun, and wipes out his whole family, wipes out his sister, his brother, his parents. Now, Ron DeFeo Jr. and Ron Sr. were known to not get along. The mom and the family was known to say, well, you know what? I'm not going to say much because I've got a pretty decent thing, got a nice house, got food on the table, kids are taken care of, whatever. And his sister, I think he had 2 sisters and a brother, wiped them all out. Yeah. And he died in prison not long ago. But I guess the point that I'm getting to here is, after that, then you had George and Kathy Lutz that moved in. They left the furniture, they bought the house with the DeFeo furniture in it. And they said within 27 days, they left everything behind. They got the hell out of there because it was hell on earth. But yet, after the fact, nobody's had any problems. Now, what recently came to light that not many people know, Chris Lutz had said that George, his father, stepfather, whatever he was, had been delving in black magic and the dark arts before they ever moved in there. So Stace, Lori, Terry, Lori, Helen, let me pose this question to you. Is it possible that he brought this shit with him?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Stace, what do you think? Do you think that that's a...
I think if you're going to dabble with stuff, then you best be ready.
Yeah.
Because I'm here to tell you firsthand, I've had things attack me, and well, I mean, you saw that.
Yes, I have.
It's crazy. It's awful. But if you're going to mess with it just for fun or just to get glorified on YouTube, then you best be ready.
Well, I'll never forget Ed Warren, the way that he, Lorraine's husband, the way that he described it is, he said, you're walking down the street and you step on a piece of bubble gum and that gum sticks to your shoe and it follows you wherever you go. That's how he described this. And that's exactly what we're talking about there. Now that, to me, that analogy made perfect sense. That if you start messing around with something that you have no business messing with, and you have no business of possibly hoping to contain it.
No.
Because you're like me, you don't know what you're doing. I tell you, you walk into this house right now, you're going to find a lot of stuff. You're going to find a lot of radio equipment, a lot of studio equipment, recording equipment, etc. You'll find, I'll tell you what you won't find. You won't find a Ouija board. No. You won't find anything that I use to summon the spirits, because I don't summon shit except a pizza on occasion.
Amen.
That's what I'll summon, or Uber Eats or something like that. Yeah. Can y'all bring this on up here? I just don't feel like getting out today. Okay.
Exactly.
And then another $35 later, they show up at the front door and she never looks good. I'm sorry. She's like, did you order the peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You know what? You can take that son of a bitch back home. You found it. That's all right. Go ahead and pick us a winner. Yeah. So I don't, I'm like Lloyd with that one. I'm like, oh, hell no. So, and Lloyd will be the first one to say that. Lloyd?
Hell no.
There we go. I told you. Okay. In this case, he was the second one, but I'm sure he was thinking it. So we give him credit for trying, and he does have a tremendous singing voice. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to pose this for both of you guys, for both Pandora and 606. Mm-hmm. We'll start with Pandora. What has been the worst case in terms of overall anything? What has been the worst case that you've investigated so far? You can leave names out of it, I understand, or change it. That's fine.
I wouldn't say it is a case actually. We've only been doing this as a group for about a year. But there was one with an old woman in a house that I lived in who would watch us. My kids were just little, and I came out of my bedroom, and there was a woman sitting right at the end of the hall, just watching my kids sleep. She could look right into their room, and she would just smile and just this grin. And so I got the kids and brought them into my room. And for some reason, I just told them, you cannot have my babies. You can't have my kids.
So the grin she gave you wasn't a friendly grin?
No, she was evil. And I still see her sometimes. I'll be at work, go around the corner, and I can see her. Even here at the house, sometimes I'll see her. So she's following me. And we truly think it was her grandmother. She was they said she was a very dark witch. Now, witchcraft comes in white and dark. She was very dark. She was into animal sacrifice and everything. I mean, she was a true bad person. And when I saw a picture of her, I'm almost positive that's who it was. And she said before she died that she would come back in one of her kids or her kids. And she follows us around.
Yes, she does.
And so I think that is probably the scariest, because I know in my heart that she was after my babies.
Now, Stace, you've been doing this for a long time, honey. A long time. Pick one, because I know you've had several. You and I have talked and shared a lot of these.
I've got two that are about the same. First one was a case with a child. It was a demonic attack. And still to this day, I walked away. That's when I completely dropped everything I was doing and walked away.
Let me ask you a question.
Or never to come back.
Let me ask you a question, not to interrupt. I'm sorry, but
sure, go for it.
Can a demonic presence only come in if you invite it? And I don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying you have to say, please come in. I'm saying maybe you're unaware that you've done so, but through
I've seen that too.
through the recess of playing
I've
maybe
seen
with
both.
a Ouija board or practicing some kind of dark magic? Can you
That's how
imagine?
this came in.
That's how that one came in?
That's how this one came into the story. And the mother got in touch with me at work. She just came into work and she was crying and she said, I really need to talk to you privately. And I'm like, okay, so I know this is going to be something paranormal because everybody that comes to me, they're like, please, well, I got to talk to you about it private. I'm like, what's going on? So she tells me some of the things, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. She tells me about the smells, about it riding in the back seat of the car beside of him, about it, whispering in her ear at night, about her looking up and seeing it, and it looked like a big black cloud of smoke over her bed, and then it rushed out and went straight back into the child's room. So he'd had it attached to him, but it was messing with everybody as well in the house. And it decided when I went in and it saw me trying to battle it, little old me here, it decided it was going to mess with me too. And it did.
How bad did it get?
It got really bad. I mean, like I told you, I
Physical
walked
attack?
out.
Physical?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was sitting there whenever I was first doing all my readings and my baseline readings and everything. And I turned around and my hair was like this. And I was like this and my hair was standing straight up. So it was standing there messing with my hair. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a real bad one. Then it would grab my shirt when I walk by, just little things. And I'm like, I know it's trying to get my attention, but you just can't stop and say, oh my God, I'm so scared. Let me run. This is a child.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave.
Can you give me a rough age of the child?
12.
Oh my God, that's just a baby.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I honestly don't know how long that they've been dealing with this, because whenever I went in to speak with the child by myself, and I do this with kids because I've been through this myself as a kid, but not to this degree, he would say, and he would smile at me and he would point and he'd say, take your equipment over there on the wall. He's on the wall laughing at you. And I was like, really? Because I have like 3 different meters, camera going, everything set up. So I go over there and it would go off. And then he'd say, he's on my back. He's on my back. Get your equipment. Get your equipment. And I would get the equipment and it would go off as high as it would go. Everywhere he would tell me it would go off. And, paranormal equipment doesn't go off on kids.
No.
In pajamas, know. And it got really bad. And then, I called in for
paranormal equipment that you were using. What was it, like an EMF detector?
I had about 5. I had 5. I mean, I had a ton. I'm not going in there without absolute proof of everything. And then also, I knew it was so bad, I had to get documented proof. So I called actually a person that lives not too far away from here now, and he came down. He's a priest, and he came down and helped.
So you got the Catholic Church involved?
I sure did. The other one was when we went up there to Pikeville, up there, Octavia's grave.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. I don't know. And I'm not saying it was her, and I'm not saying who it was, but something attacked me. And for 2 days, I fought.
Well, the thing with a lot of people say, well, I've been up there and it never happened to me. But you got to keep in mind, Stacy is open to this. Mm-hmm. She attracts the dead.
Yes.
She does. And if you are gifted like she is, or like other people that I know are, then you are a target for them. Because basically look at it as they are in a land of darkness and they see a lighthouse. Mm-hmm. Which would be let's say a physical medium. They see they see this and they're attracted to you. And here they come. And the next thing I have seen, and maybe next week, I know that I'm guessing you probably don't have it readily available, but next week maybe we can show pictures, and we've shown it on here before, of the orbs that are in your house. And this is not dust, because dust does not have intelligent movement. Mm-hmm. These orbs do. And I'm telling you, you can barely space for them. There's so many. They're attracted to her, and they're attracted to anybody who has that particular gift.
I also got attacked up there when we went up here where the wreck was with the kids burnt. I got a
That's real
text the
close to
first
your
night
house.
I went up there and we smelled pure rotted eggs and couldn't get away from it. And
So-
I took some pictures and it showed another set of feet standing there beside of us. And it also, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we took a picture of. Well, actually,
Get him in
I
the
was
frame.
driving down the road, and she's like, "Get off me! Get off me!" And then she's snapping pictures, and then she caught something that was trying to crawl up her
Between my
leg
legs.
in the car while I'm driving down 75. I mean, it was crazy.
I'm documenting as much proof as I can get, folks, because let me tell you what,
Mm-hmm.
that's all I know to do is try to get,
A lot of the good paranormal
Rocky.
investigators I know, and I do use the word good paranormal investigators that I know, they want to document this so the scientific community will accept it as a legitimate field of study.
Yes.
Will
Yes,
they ever? They should, I think, because honestly, and you're getting now to where you're seeing more and more doctors that are saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, something happens after this life. And they're right. It does. The Bible says it. I mean, I've had personal experiences, and I don't draw things to me. I'm not gifted like that. I may have discernment or be empathic or whatever Stace says. I believe I'll go with her, but I'm not a medium. I've never, I'll take that back. I have once when I had a migraine. I saw, oh, well, yeah, I forgot about that. The burnt child right beside of me that kept, and I mean, it was right there. And I just looked over and I was like, I'm not going to say exactly what I said, but it was what the fidget. And the child was just looking at me burnt.
right.
And
That probably caused your headache.
huh?
That probably caused your headache.
I never thought about that.
Mhm.
Stace had a very similar theory about that. She did. And because she told me, she said, I was just waiting on this to happen. Or something along that lines, wasn't it?
Yep. I told you, I'm just waiting.
Yep.
I knew it was coming.
And I saw this beautiful little blonde haired girl who really, I mean, and I only saw her out of the periphery, but she reminded me somewhat of Summer. But this burn child. And then what did we find out just 2 days after that fact? That there was a child that had burnt, and that I think we actually found that out on the show when Summer had come through on the SBS.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, God. And just for that split second, I had an inkling of what Stace goes through. And I'm telling you, I was like,
There's no sleep. There's no rest. There's no, let me call up my best friend and tell him about it, because you have to deal with it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a personal thing, no matter what. No matter who's there, it's still a personal thing.
So
exactly.
if you're sick, so what?
now you can control, you can set limits, though. Is that true?
Yeah. You got to have your borders.
And they got to respect that, because in the end, you as a living person,
Mhm.
you do have the authority
Right.
Yes.
to say, no, not right now, later.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
Mm.
Now, see, what scares me about it is I'm afraid, like Stace, I wouldn't know how, or I just don't think I'd have the heart to say no. Unless it was something dark and evil that I don't want to deal with.
Right.
But if it's some child coming to me,
Mhm.
or some mommy or daddy trying to make a connect with a family member, if it were me, I would. You're right, Stace. I see why you don't get rest.
Yeah.
I see why. We started the Mountain Mysteries because of a friend of mine that I honestly believe to this day was absolutely stone cold murdered. And then it grew and it grew. And I started learning about these stories like Dwayne Lovelace, like Summer Wells, like Krista Garrett, and Amber, and the list goes on and on and on. Amber Spradlin, the list goes on. And, we are going to be taking things in a much wider field, because the lady in charge, be it right there, said that she would very much like to get into the thing with, we spoke of cryptids like Bigfoot.
Yes, absolutely.
We have spoke of aliens, because I can't help but wonder how many people mistake a shadow person for an alien, because if they have the technology to travel a vast distance across the universe, they could probably make themselves look like whatever they want to.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they appear as a shadow that you can't make out? Oh, well, that's a gray. That's an alien. Because if it were me, I wouldn't want somebody saying, you know, if I'm standing in your bed overnight, let's say I'm looking over Lloyd and I've got a sheep or a goat and I'm going to put the goat on Lloyd's face. I really don't want him to know it's me. So I'm going to say, oh, it's a garden gnome. Something. In other words, why would they not describe? So it could be
Paranormal.
It is paranormal. But yes, you're absolutely right. Either way it goes, it falls under the category of paranormal. What is paranormal? It falls outside of the scope of normal scientific explanation. It's things that we can explain, be it hauntings, be it spirits. I can tell you for a fact they exist. I know they are. We do not, when I die, I'm not just going to close my eyes and that's going to be game over. Show's done. I'll go on. And so will you. As far as aliens go, I just remember what my dad told me one time. We were outside sitting on a picnic table, and he and I would do that on occasion. And I'd looked up one night and I said, Dad, and I mean, the stars were beautiful. We lived out in the country. I mean, it was just beautiful. I said, Dad, do you think that there's such thing as aliens? And he looked up and he said, well, I'll tell you right now. He said, if there's not, it's a hell of a waste of space.
Definitely. In the background.
And who's to say that God didn't put them here too?
Yeah.
Now, are they among us? I believe so. Are they lizard people in the White House? I don't really think that. I do think there's some dumbasses in the White House, but I don't think there's many lizard people there. Well, there's one or two that would probably pass for one. But even the aliens would be like, hell no. We're getting out of the neighborhood. We're going somewhere
You can
else.
keep them.
You can keep those. Abduct them.
We don't want to probe them.
No. No, as a matter of fact, you get some of them up there, they probably probe the aliens.
Yeah.
That'd probably be a bad thing.
Especially if they're kids, little kids, aliens, probably.
I'm just saying. But I do think, here's the thing. I like to consider myself openly skeptic, I guess is the way I put it. I'm open to that possibility. Absolutely. I think that there very well could be. And I do think that, yes, if they are, they're probably, because how long have we been sending out the radio signals from SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence? All the satellite arrays in New Mexico. How long have we been sending out signals? For years.
We don't have intelligence here.
Yeah. That's probably why they just bypass us. We like the hood of the galaxy.
We're the ghetto.
Yeah. They drive by and they're like, oh, hell no. Did you hear them banjos down there playing?
For sure.
Ding, 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 ding. Boy, you look mighty cute in them jeans. Why don't you bring that alien over here?
Squeal like a pig, Lloyd.
Yeah. That would be Lloyd. Lloyd would go, again, oh, hell no. You go, Lloyd. You go. You get down with your bad self. Yeah. But I do think that this thing now, I think that most people that get into this field, and that's kind of where we have come across with problems. Some people get in this field for notoriety, and they want to be the next Zach Bagans or Grant Wilson or the next Jason Hawes, or they want to be like that. Stace has never had that issue. I know that for a fact because I've since the time that she was pretty much old enough to walk, she's had this. At least as far back as she and I can remember, because I remember hearing about it, and I'm like, a lot of people kind of were like, yeah, whatever. I always believed her because I just remember thinking, how do you deal with that?
Because we had like 3 or 4 ghosts at our school.
Yeah. One was a janitor, I do believe.
They would come through and watch us while we were working and everything.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always believed that, and it was really confirmed when I had personal experiences myself some years ago, and I'll never forget that. I've had one since I lived where I'm at now, and it decided it wanted to turn up the surround sound, and my exact words were, "Leave it alone." Only I put a colorful metaphor in there,
Right.
and it left it alone. But I think it was just trying to get my attention to say, hey, I'm here. Now, right after my mom died, I walked in and the scent of her perfume hit me right in the face. And I have none of her perfume here, but her perfume, Vanilla Fields, hit me right in the face. So that was telling me she's letting me know she's okay.
Yeah.
When you have an open mind, but you're skeptical at the same time, you don't fall for anything, but at the same time, you're open to the fact and the possibility that this could be a real thing.
Right. Now, when we are investigating, if we experience something, the first thing that we do is try to disprove it. Make sure it's not done by something else, you know, and
That
we'll
makes
do
sense to
so
me.
many different things to make the same noise or to just make that happen again. And if we can make it happen again, then not necessarily disprove, but it's a possibility that that's not what we were thinking it was.
Yeah.
If we can't disprove it, then, you know, then it's a legitimate thing.
To paraphrase Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was the author of Sherlock Holmes,
Yes.
whenever you eliminate what is
What's left behind.
what is left behind, whatever is the most unlikely is the most likely.
Yeah.
So when you eliminate everything else,
No matter how unlikely,
no
there
matter
it is.
how unlikely, it's probably the most likely.
Yeah.
You know, Occam's razor also states that, you know, the simplest explanation tends to be the truth, tends to be the best. And again, it all comes down to a science and a willingness to have an open mind, even if just for a few moments. So,
Right.
Girls, you're welcome to hang around if you want to on here. Stace is getting ready to run an SBS. I think we did make that promise. We won't have a whole lot of time to do it, but I think that we'll have some, don't you, Stace?
Absolutely. Actually, as always, I leave it always on.
Okay, so all you got to do is turn it up, right?
So it's already warmed up and ready to go.
So, girls, if you want to part and watch the rest of the show, or you can stay on here with us, either one.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, thank you both very much for being on tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
That's Pandora Paranormal, Lori and Helen. Lori, Terry, and Helen. I heard something coming out already.
I did too.
I've been writing down some names. We've already had Anna come through, Jacob, Bruce, and that just said Jim. Help. How can we help you? Can you tell me? Is there anybody here with us in our chat room that anybody wants to come through for? I know I called out before we started the show. Like I said, David. Hannah? Anna, I heard it too.
Was it Hannah or Anna?
Both. We've had Anna and a Hannah.
Okay.
Thank you, Madonna. I love you, girl. I swear. I've met so many good people through this show that I feel like family. Does anybody want to come through for anybody here with us?
Where is it? What'd she say?
Something and said, "This is me." That said Helen.
I'm here.
James Paul said his dad's Jim. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing with me. Usually when names or something getting called out, my name usually gets called every time.
And what's so funny about it, there's Anna again, is a lot of these names don't come on here. They coordinate with what people, you know, are concentrating on, and it usually every time. Say it again. I think it was Carrie that said, "I know Anna."
Yeah.
Okay, Carrie, listen to that because maybe a message for you. Do you have a message for Carrie?
Get off there, watch
What? Dad. I thought it said Helen too earlier. She said, "Don't be sad."
Right there.
Ditto.
Carrie said I lost my friend, Dana.
Wow.
So she said, as soon as Carrie said that, she said, "Don't be sad." And then a guy said, "Ditto."
Carrie would hear that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm sorry. I heard Dad too. Marie. Could Dwayne come through for me? You always seem to come through for me when I call for you. Said dude. Dwayne.
We're actually doing an episode about him next week.
Hey. Yes, you can hear this. You're more than welcome to listen. They asked me. What did they ask you? Does anybody have any call outs?
I thought we had one.
Anna,
Tony,
can you
thanks
come back
for
through for
taking-
Carrie?
There was a call out.
See, I got one for Madonna too. Pat, can you come through for Madonna? Said Pat. It did, didn't it? I thought so too. Candace said she loved to hear from Aunt Judy. Gotcha. Hey, can Aunt Judy come through for Candace? We would love to hear from you, Judy. You're welcome. I don't know who said thank you. Some guy said thank you. Did you hear that lady crying?
Mm-hmm.
I wish somebody would help me. Judith. Aunt Judy, could you come through for Candace?
Sure.
You said what?
Gullett.
You could have. I love you, it said. Can you tell me who you love? Pat, Madonna says that she's going to be there for Bridget, and she promises that. Do you have any messages for her? It said love her. Cecil is my dad. Okay. There's a little girl again. It says me. Can you hear me? They keep saying I hear you. I hear you. Lori. Male voice right there. Lori. Timestamp that at about 1:05, Lori, if you want to look back into that. Aaron. They were planning on something.
Thank you.
Keep saying thank you. You're welcome. If I can help you in any way, I will. Does anybody else want to come through? Something last Friday night. It's funny that you said Bruce, Sharon, because it said Bruce twice earlier. That's wild. I miss you. You know us. You know us. We see it. We see it. We see it.
Purpose.
Oh, it says Aaron is plain as day. Came across the obvious plain as day.
How many boxes do you have running?
I've got the Ovulus and then my spirit box.
Okay.
Help me. Something, my son. What's your son's name? Can you tell me? I thought I heard Travis.
Travis.
Sound like it said it right as soon as I asked it.
Whoa.
So that was a female ghost. Someone said Sharon, it sounded like.
Sharon.
Uh-oh, James Paul, he's watching you from the grave, son. He's called you out 3 or 4 times. Seance.
Ex-father-in-law.
He's going to kill me.
Of all the people you had to bring through.
Jordan Tackett. The killer still hasn't went to trial. Could you come through for Madonna?
Jordan Tackett.
Travel. We went sailing. That's what he said. What? It's like she said I died after I broke my leg. Are you in pain?
Oh.
How could I help you? Oh, he says I liked him, but the rest of the family not so much. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Grandma Sherry, I love and miss you, says Miss Kayla. Can you come through for Kayla? So there's not many left. Thought I heard get out. I wish I could. She won't let me speak.
It's good to see you, Brian.
Hey.
Check that out, Stace.
I'm still here, she said. Oh, Kayla, is that your granny? Love you too, Candace. Babe. Was she your babe? Can you tell me your name? I heard Sharon again before I asked that. I heard Daryl again, guys. Did y'all hear that too?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Teresa. Love and miss you, Lester Prater. Teresa loves and misses you, Lester. Do you have a message for her? I heard a whisper of a girl that said she loved me. She loved me. Who loved you? Can you tell me that? Dylan. On the back or something on my back. This is him. Thought I heard Paul. Cora. Paul. Cora. Write all these names down. Every episode, I'm going to start writing all the names down. That way, if somebody asks, then I've got it wrote.
There's a lot of them that come through. Yeah. Seems like they've gotten more used to bringing in names than they had before, than they had been.
Are you bleeding out on us?
I am bleeding out, actually.
Damn it, Lloyd, bleed some other time.
Calm Troubles with starring Lloyd.
Where did you? Never mind. I don't want to know where you put that thing at. Never mind.
On his leg.
Oh, his leg.
Yeah, and now since he put it on his leg, it's bleeding.
He probably struck a damned artery.
I think it did.
I'm like Candace. He arched it. Yep.
Her Jerry. We'll put a tourniquet on it tight, real tight.
Nurse Stacia.
Anybody got a hanky?
Been there, played that role before.
Yes, you have.
You don't know here. Go ahead now. Yeah.
The doctor will see you now.
Hi.
Just relax.
Oh, Lord. Heavenly Father, please be with me and grant me patience or give me bail money.
Sarah said, poor baby.
Lloyd Tool Time Gullett. Leave it to JP.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, dear Lord. That's how he got in the Dexcom problem, James Paul. He got under the
Hi
vehicle
there.
earlier
I'm
and
Dr.
scraped
Dexcom.
it off.
It's great.
Me and James Paul was talking yesterday on the phone. And bless his heart for putting up with us. Let's see. Teresa says, my brother, is that Zendel? Zendel, if you can come, I said Amy. If you can come through for Teresa, come through for us, please. Love to hear from you.
Ooh, that's I never thought about that, Madonna.
No.
Guess what, Madonna? They're never, never far away. Why is it even going to focus?
Oh.
They're sitting right over the spirit box.
Good to see you, Kim.
And then, of course, there's always someone standby just waiting for Lloyd to go over there and
Pick up one and pet it, stroke it, and love it.
and just, see what happens.
No. Oh, no.
That's what needs to happen, Lloyd.
No,
One of them
no.
needs to get a hold of you and beat it like it owes you money.
Forget it. I'm out. No way.
Especially those that are so close to him right here.
Yeah, there's several.
Yeah,
I'm like Steph. Everybody knows Lloyd loves the dolls.
they're never far away.
Stace, do you have any there that's not attached or haunted? Or they all have something? All of them have something?
Yeah. For the most part, everything I've got down here in the office has a story.
I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Clev is looking to hear from his sister Brenda or stepson Orion. I suppose that is.
Brenda, if you could come through for us, love to hear from you. And Brian would also like to hear, was it Orion? Love to hear from you also. If anybody else can come through, he's here. Would love to get a message. Let's see.
Did you get that, Stace?
Which one?
Kayla wanted or asked if you could tell her.
Yeah, just now I was reading it. Yep. Just
I'll put it back up.
Kayla, I love that. I love that. I do that all day long. If you don't have me on Facebook, add me on there. I'm feeding my birds 15 times a day. I love that.
Well, you have a sanctuary for them, which I think is cool.
You come through for Kayla, Grandma Sherry. She would love to hear from you, and I would too.
No way.
We can name one of them Naughty Nurse Nancy.
Oh.
They're close enough as they are.
Just imagine the heaven they could make you feel.
Forget it.
I heard Jean. Stacia, did you come through? I'm always looking for you, little girl. We love you. Stacia.
I heard that.
Love you, Stacia. This one said on the Ovulus, help me speak.
Wow.
What can we do to help them speak?
I've got your little ones put in my china cabinet, Madonna. I'll have to show them to you next time.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
You know, you can come through any of these devices anytime. It's so easy. Just if you can use what energy you can. That's what the spirit guides tell me.
I thought I heard that too.
Bree. She said, sweetie, she helped me. It was a woman.
Information.
That's probably Eric. What's his name, Maze? Point of information. I'd love to hear from him. Information. Oh, thank you, Madonna. I love that. Help. How can I help you?
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
He said, I'm going to tell you. Hateful. That's definitely Lloyd. Hateful. You have to send me some good recipes. I've got every kind of bird. I'll have to get with you on that.
That sounds great, Brian.
Nan, it said Nan. Melissa.
Stranger things have happened, Miranda.
Basically, anymore what I do, I help the elderly and I help children. That's basically what I've been specializing in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon said she heard a female voice say, I love you, Mommy. May have been Stacia. Oh, I love my squirrels. I give my squirrels walnuts. They love them.
I like squirrels. I love raccoons.
Yeah, I've got 4.
And possums. I think possums are awesome.
And I've got one at Mom's, and she's got 3 little babies, and she's got 3 legs. She gets extra goodies.
And look at this beautiful girl who just came in.
Oh, there your girl is. Just talking about you, girl.
Yes. Well, Kayla's got a farm going on.
Yeah. I
Cattle,
love it.
horses, goats, about 30 chickens.
I want to go live with her.
I'm telling you, that's fresh eggs every day. That's
I'll be out feeding the babies all day. All my farm animals would be weigh tons, I know. Don't start.
you know where he's going with this.
He's like, you feed everything. I pack stuff in the car. I pack dog food, cat food, whatever. I mean, bread, water. I heard him say God.
Mm-hmm.
Your makeup looks great.
Oh, yes. Faith gave me a little makeup.
You didn't need any.
Thank you, darling. To hide the black eyes. It don't matter. It comes right off. Does anybody else put makeup on and 5 minutes later it's gone anyway?
Oh, it happens to me every day.
what's the sense in even having any on because it just comes off? I hate that.
Well, I just go for that natural look. I'm on
Grass. It said grass.
grass.
Sharon's last name. Well,
Ducks and sheep too. She's got all
Pretty
kinds of critters.
I love it.
Apparently,
I've
Tim has the
not
same
heard from that
problem.
one in a long time. That's crazy. There you go, Slippery Weasel, James Paul says. That'd be a good name for a bar.
This Slippery Weasel.
That's a good name for a band.
Yeah, it is. Baloney for
I'll
Lord.
write that down.
I don't even know where I'm going.
Oh, yeah, write it down.
Oh boy, I just
Lord help him.
yeah.
He needs help.
It's a party now. Yep.
That was great. That was great. Help him.
Yes, we are supposed to look after the animals. Well, you know, I've never been able to get my mind.
And I
wrapped around
do.
anybody
Oh, my
that abused
goodness.
animals. I just don't.
I'll do anything for him. Oh, Steph, I hope you're feeling better. I'd love to.
Dad always said I had a kind personality, the kind that belongs up a holler somewhere. So
Some girl goes, oh. Serious? He lost. I didn't even mean for it to come out like it did. I'm so sorry.
apparently, I'm pretty hot in the spirit world. I guess I don't know.
That was great.
At least I got something going on somewhere. So that's good.
What are you doing over there?
Hey, look, my hands are free. Okay, right there, they are. So it's.
No, I said mark that spot.
Oh, I don't even know what I did.
Does anybody else want to come through for Chris before we sign off for the evening?
I was hoping to hear from Summer.
Oh God.
I'm not even. I got nothing, Candace. Nothing. Nope. I'm not swinging the bat that way. 14 cats and 6 kittens.
Sounds about like me if I could.
Uh-huh.
I think I got 5. Let's see, we got 5 now. Cats left. Does anybody else want to come through before we turn the spirit box off? You want to come through for anybody that's in our chat room? Come right on. I love you. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That was as plain as day. It's a
That's-
little old man. It was like a little old man.
You know, I'd much rather hear that than the darker stuff. Any day.
It's something I pray for your night terrors.
Anybody have a night terror?
Hi, Chris. Did you hear that girl?
Hi.
Sound like it said Sean.
I don't know anybody right now that I can recall right off the bat.
I want to thank everybody for coming through for us tonight. And I'm gonna put some new sound boxes in also for next show too, so we'll have hopefully some more voices coming through next show.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, more the merrier, I say.
Hear that?
What did it say?
I could have swear it says I'm going to sign off. Well,
good night.
Kayla
And
has
what? Ron, they finally have seen me, she said. And that sounds like Loretta Lynn, folks.
Could have been.
Jack. Doug.
good Lord.
Every time we go to try to close, usually this will happen every time.
Yeah, it's kind of like that last call, that kind of rush thing. You know, maybe we can actually do this for an entire 90 minutes or so on the
Oh, I
Patreon.
love it.
On the
Yep,
Patreon.
love it.
We need to talk
Ron is
about
my dad.
what day you want to do it, and when do we want to start it.
Anytime.
Okay.
I absolutely love doing this when I've got you guys with me, especially because you can help me to hear everything that's going
This
on.
would be only for Patreon folks, and it would be on a day that we'll announce, but it would be strictly for Patreon people of any tier, 3, 5, or 10 or whatever. So, and it would be on the Patreon website. You know, thing about the Patreon website. Well, maybe we could launch the YouTube thing on the Patreon website strictly for Patreon members with a link. And then, because I don't want to take away the chat from anybody, and Patreon does not have for a chat, but if YouTube is running through there, then that should work. We'll try it and see, guys. But I'm thinking that that we can do that, and it would be strictly Patreon. And what we'd be doing is Stace would be running the Spirit Box, and for what, an hour, 45 minutes, an hour and 15, whatever, until you get to the point that you're like, okay, we're ready for this to end today or tonight. So Madonna said that love you, Johnny. Kayla,
Madonna loves you, Johnny.
and check out this from Kayla.
I'll tell you what, Kayla. I'll work on that tonight. We'll see if we can't stop that from happening.
Yeah, that kind of.
I'll get to work on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, coming up next Wednesday, July 31st, on The Gatherings right here, what we are going to have is a visit back to episode 7 of the Mountain Mysteries podcast. We'll be posting links to that on Facebook so you can listen to it. It's heart-wrenching. It concerns a guy from Breathitt County and his family who are, I mean, the heartache doesn't get any more real than this.
No.
But it's Dwayne Lovelace and his grandma, Mildred, will be joining us next week to talk some about the case. And hopefully, you know, maybe there's some more information that we can discover or find out and let police know. I do know KSP has said that this was an open case and that they are still working it. So, but we hope that we'll see you then next Thursday Wednesday at 9:00. Listen to him. I'm still stuck back in the
Said
day.
goodbye, my Brian.
Goodbye, my Brian.
It was
Had
like
to be talking
a
about
little
this.
lady, like a little older lady. Do you hear that?
Had to have been talking about Clevenger, I'd assume.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is he still in here?
Yeah, Cleve's
I
on
can't
here.
ever see the chat, so.
We really need to get you a bigger monitor. Yeah. Yeah, Brian just posted that up here. You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome.
Absolutely.
And from Madonna.
I got
Okay,
you.
so that is coming up. And I don't know if we'll actually start the Patreon thing this week, but I would say no later than next week. And it may be on a weekend, maybe on a weeknight. It really depends on what Stacy and I get together and we put our heads together and come up with. But we want to make it to where everybody, obviously, especially all of our Patreon people, can watch it, but it'll be just for Patreon members. So anyways, Stace, you know I love you.
Love you.
And baby girl, you have a good night. Lloyd, you
What?
know, watch your sheep and your
Damn.
chickens, and try not to go too hard on them dolls.
Yeah, no.
You wondering why he's sandwiching over here next to me because he don't
Yeah.
want to sit over
He
there.
really don't want no part of them dolls. That's exactly
No,
what
he
it is.
don't. That's no joke.
Okay, and for you out there watching, little word of encouragement. God's got a plan for you. If you feel like quitting, don't. He's got a plan for you. I promise you. Every one of us is here for a reason. Everybody goes through these dark times, these hard times, these difficult ones, but you'll come out of it. And you'll come out of it for the better, for the smarter, for the wiser, and a lot stronger. Know that we love you, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. And, of course, as soon as we figure out the Patreon thing, which will probably be here in the next day or two, we'll let you know on Facebook and on Patreon itself. So share the word out. Let's get more Patreon members, Patreon family on there, and help this thing keep rolling, okay? So with that being said, we're going to step out and say goodnight. And Stace, once again, love you. And thank you so much for a great show tonight.
Thank you, guys. Love you all.
And you guys have a wonderful night. Until next week, as always, stay mysterious.
That day I was at home and I was mowing grass, me and my grandson, and one of his friends messaged me and said, Mildred, I heard Dwayne is dead.